Hello everyone, welcome to another video in the tutorial series of WSO2's Enterprise Integrator. I hope you're enjoying the videos here. Let's get started. In this video, we're going to discuss about the web service security in WSO2's Enterprise Integrator. In the modern world, security is a very important aspect of integrations. Lack of security means loss of data, which means unsatisfied customers and loss of business. So it's a very important aspect. So let's look at some of the security features offered by WSO2. As WSO2 offers a ton of options to secure our web services and APIs, so we can't cover all of them in one video. So our focus would be on securing the web services, and very specifically, I'll be discussing how to secure our APIs or SOAP-based web services using web service security tokens. So that's what we're going to focus today. Now, what is WSSecurity? A little bit of theory here. So it's a specification that defines how security measures are implemented in web services to protect them from external attacks. It's a set of protocol that ensures security of SOAP-based messages by implementing principles of confidentiality, integrity, and authentication. So that's a little bit of theory. So once I get into the practicals and when I show you how to implement this, you will have more idea of what exactly it is. Now in WSO2, how we implement this WSSecurity. So they are by using security policy. So let me walk you through the steps required to implement security, WSSecurity on the services. So let's start by creating a proxy service. When I simply create a proxy service, it's not secured, right? So to secure that, next step is I'll create a policy. Now what is a policy? A policy includes the security mechanism that I'm going to implement on the proxy service. So in this scenario, I'll be defining that I'm going to apply a WS username token policy, right? So that will be in the policy. Now, is that enough? No, because we need to restrict a set of audience and we should grant only access to the proxy service only to those. So to do that, what we do is we define a role and we link the role to the policy. So that means only those people who has that particular role which is mentioned in the policy will be able to access the proxy. Now this will happen only when we link the policy to the proxy service. Now our proxy service is secured. There is a role associated to it and there is a security mechanism applied to the policy. But as a user, how will I be able to access that proxy service? Now I should have a username and password obviously, and my user should have that role mentioned in the policy. So the next step is to create a user and link that user to the role. So just to recap, first step is to create a proxy which is unsecured by default. The next step is to create a policy, define the mechanism of security that we are going to apply, and then include a role to the policy. Once that is done, tag the policy or link the policy to the proxy, and then for granting access to the users, create a user and grant the role or assign the role to the user which is mentioned in the policy. Once we do this, only those users who has that particular role will be able to access the proxy service, and the proxy is secured. Now let's see this in action. I'll create a proxy service and show you how to configure a policy and assign the policy to the proxy service, and let's test the service as well. I'm in the integration studio now. To start with, I'm going to create a Maven multi-module project. So Maven, if you just type Maven, we should be able to get Maven multi-module project. Yep. So select the Maven multi-module project. I'm going to name the project as sample 9. If you have been following my videos, This is a usual naming convention that I follow for the entire series. Just click finish to create the Maven multi-module project. Now the next step is to create a proxy. So for that, I'm selecting I'm creating an ESB config project. Click on next and name the project as sample9_ESB. Click on next, and the artifact ID remains the same. Here I'm just linking the ESB project to the parent, so that's going to be sample9 project. So once we are done, ESB project is created. Here I'm going to create a very simple proxy service that just echoes the message that is sent. So for that, I'm clicking on the proxy services folder, right click, create, and click on the proxy service. Click on next and name the service as sample9_proxy. I am leaving both HTTP and HTTPS ticked. Just click on finish. So a skeleton on the proxy is created now. So I'm just going to use a payload factory mediator and key in default response. So just dragging the payload factory mediator here. I'm going to configure this. That's going to be an inline XML. I'm just going to send a status success. Status success. So this is going to be the response. Status success. So that's it. And now I'll use a response mediator to respond back to the consumer. So once I save this, our proxy is ready. Now I'll create next step is to create a Carbon application project. So again, click on new, click on other, and search for composite application project. So this is the actual artifact that we'll deploy. Select sample9 project, and we have to give a name here. So I'm going to give sample9_car as the name of my composite application project. Click on next, link it to the parent by clicking on the checkbox. Here it's going to be sample9. Click on finish. Now our deployment artifact is ready. So I'll show you this proxy service without applying the security policy, so that you will be able to understand it better after I apply. So right click on the integration server that's running. I have already an EI instance running here. Click on right click and select add and remove. Select the sample9 car file, add it, and click on finish. Now in the console we'll be able to see the progress of deployment. If the car file is successfully deployed, we'll have a message saying successfully deployed. Yeah, see, as you can see here, car file is successfully deployed. I'm switching back to the admin console now. I'm logging in using the default username and password, which is admin and admin. When I click on the services list, I should be able to see the sample proxy here. This is the one that I just deployed. Click on the WSDL, and you can see here it is unsecured at the moment. See, and if you click on the WSDL, or if you click on the service itself, you'll get the URL to access the service. So I'm going to take the HTTPS URL, switching to SOAP UI, and sample9 proxy, WSDL. Okay, so I'm just going to test this service. It should be HTTP. If I want to test HTTPS, this should be HTTPS, and 8243 is going to be the port. That's a secured port. And in the body, I'm just going to say hello. There. Now since there is no security applied here, I'm expecting a success response. As you can see here, now the API has the service has no security, so it has returned the same response. Next step is to create a policy and apply the policy, right? So for that, I'm switching back to the integration studio. To create a security policy, the first step is to create a registry project. Right click on the sample9 project, click on new, click on other, and search for registry. See, you can see here a registry resources project. Click on the registry resources project, name the project as I'm going to name it as sample9_reg to indicate that it's a registry project. Click on next and link the registry project to the parent Maven multi-module project as we did for composite application and ESB project. Just click on finish so that the registry project is created. Now, next step is to create a policy. For doing that, right click on the registry project, click on new, and select a registry resource. When I do this, I have a few options here. I'm going to go with the default from existing template. Click on next. Now this is the name of the WS policy that I'm going to configure. So I'm going to give sample9 WS policy. Now the template, from the template you can see a list of artifacts that can be added to the registry project. So all these are considered as registry artifacts. So for this particular session, our focus is on WS policy, so I'm selecting WS policy. Now these are the two registries available. I'm going to go with the conf registry because for the purpose of this demo, I'll be using the conf registry, and this is the registry path where we need the WS policy to be saved. So I'm just going to name or give a path like WS policy. So these are the configurations, initial configurations required for the policy. So click on finish. So this creates a WS policy, but the configurations, we have not completed the configurations. We have to come back here. As a next step, I'm switching back to the admin console because here is where I'm going to create a role and a user, right? To create a role and a user, I have to click on the configure section in the admin console, and you can see here users and roles. When you click on the list, it will you have the option to list the available users and roles. As a first step, I'm going to create a role. So click on the add new role button. You can leave the domain as primary, just give a name. So I'm going to give a name as Proxy Consumer. Click on next. You can leave these roles you can leave them for the purpose of this demo. We don't have to select a particular role from this list. Click on next, and if you have any users to be selected here, you can, otherwise just click finish. Now that we have simply created a role, next I'm going to create a user. It's almost the same set of steps as for the role. So again, click on add, create a new user. I'm going to name the user as Proxy USR1. I'm going to give the same password, so it's going to be Proxy USR1 and the same. Click on next. Here we get an option to link the user to the role. So as you can see, this is a role that we have created, Proxy Consumer. So click on the Proxy Consumer and finish. Now we have done two steps. Now we created a role, and now we created a user and linked the user to the role. But still our policy, proxy, and the users and role, these are all detached. Now we have to put all these parts of the puzzle together to have a secured proxy. Now I'm switching back to the integration studio. Now if I expand the registry project, I can see the WS policy here. Double click on the WS policy. Now you see a list of different security mechanisms available in WSO2 to protect our endpoints. So in this particular video, we are discussing the username token, which is the default one, and it's already selected. Now to link a user role to this policy, click on the user role option available here. Click on that. Now you can manually key in the role, or you have the option to connect to the registry and read it from there. Get roles from the server. This is basically the WSO2 server. So I'm logging in with the admin and admin user. And when I click on the get roles button, it lists the available roles in the server. So you can see the proxy consumer user that we have created a while ago. I'm selecting that, click OK. Now the user which is linked to the role proxy consumer is linked to the policy, right? Now we are entering the final step. So save the WS policy. The configurations of the policy are completed now. Now the last step is to link the policy to the proxy. For that, I'm switching back to the proxy. If you click on the properties tab of the proxy, and if you scroll down, you will find an option of security. Now security is not enabled by default, so click on the checkbox to enable the security and click on the plus button to add the policy, to link the policy here. Click on the policy key and you have the option to select the policy from the workspace. Click on the workspace, click on the carbon registry resources. From there, select the policy that we have created. So sample 9WS policy was the one that we created. Click on OK, click on finish, and that's it. Now all configurations required to secure the proxy is completed. Now what is remaining is to add the registry project and the ESB project into the car file and deploy. So if you look at the car file, now it has the sample ESB project, but the registry project is not added. I'm just adding that as well, saving, and then I'm just redeploying. So to redeploy, just right clicking on the car file and say redeploy. Yeah, I can see a message that the car file is successfully deployed. Now let's validate it. Switching back to SOAP UI. Now if I try with the same request, I should be getting an error. So heading and see, as you can see, it says invalid security. WSSecurity header is missing in the request. So to do that, I have to add the username and password, which was the username that we created was proxy user 1 and the password was proxy user. So I just gave that username and password here, and then I'm just adding the username and token. So this is not enough. As part of this, we have to add a timestamp field as well. So just right click and add a timestamp. So you can give this is the expiry time for the timestamp. So I'm just giving 10 minutes. And now if you see I got a success response. So this is how we secure the API. If I switch back to the admin console and then remove the user from the role, for example, I'm switching back to the list of roles, and then I'm switching back to the users, and if I'm just removing this proxy user and click on finish, see the change will be immediately reflected if you try to hit it again. So I'm removing the nonce here because it will give me an error. We can't use the same nonce value again. So if I hit this again, I'm getting an error saying failed authentication. The security token could not be authenticated or authorized, which means this user is not authorized to access the service because I removed him from the role. I'm going to add him back, sign users. I'm just going to add the user back. Click on OK. Now if I try again, see, I get success response. So this is how we secure a proxy service defined in WSO2 EI using the WS username and token. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Please feel free to share your feedbacks either directly on my email or in the chat section or in the comment section. Happy learning. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.